everyone and welcome back. I'm Mel, Wordy Stitches, here on YouTube and on Instagram, and this is my Flosstube. Flosstube number, I want to say 11. I'll put something up there if that's not right. Flosstube number 11. Today is Tuesday the 7th of February, so welcome. Welcome if you're new here and this is the first video of mine that you have watched, and especially welcome back if you've been here for a little while and have come back to spend some time with me again. It's always nice to hang out with the stitching peeps. Okay, I'm just going to say the cat is in a little bit of one of those, you know, wild cat moods where they start running around the house and doing strange things. So if there's a sudden flying cat across the screen, I apologize. She's currently down under the table that I'm sitting at, staring at the blinds with an expression that I think maybe suggests she's up to no good. But anyway, let's ignore her and talk about stitching. That's what we're here to talk about. Cross stitch, embroidery, sometimes other handicrafts, but I don't think I touched my English paper piecing quilting in January, so that was a bit slack. I'll have to do some of that this month. But anyway, so today mainly going to be about cross stitch. So let's get going. If cross stitch is not your corner of the YouTubes, then perhaps move along. Anyway, let's start with, I normally start with whips, but I'm going to mix it up. Let's start with finishes because I actually have some finishes. It's a miracle. I have 3 finishes. So I think last month I talked a little bit about WIPGO and probably said that my first WIPGO call was this, and I finished it. So this is Goth Chicken by Lindy Stitches. It's in her little book. I think it's called A Book of Spooky Stitches or Spooky Stitch Book, something like that. But I always liked this pattern from when she first started talking about it. I just think it's cute to call it a Goth Chicken. And it was actually a relatively quick stitch. I think this is on 36 count. I think it's Decrepit by number 12 Stitch Co. in black and a couple of covers. So monochromatic stitches are often faster. And this border was actually quite easy to do because it's one of those nice repetitive borders where once you've got the hang of it, you don't need to look at the pattern. You can just keep going. So that was one of my finishes for January, so that's exciting. I need to find a frame for this. It's about, I think the stitched area is about 5.5 by 5.5 on this fabric, so I'd like to find a 6-inch square black frame, and that seems to be a little bit of a rare beast in Australia. There's lots of 8-inch frames with, you know, 6-inch matted area, but that's a little bit big for the fabric to stretch on this side. There wouldn't be much left around for me to actually lace it, so I'm going to have to find an actual frame that's got actual 6-inch backing board in it. So I'm on the hunt. I've been doing some Googling. There's a few options, but I'll see what else I can find. So that was the first of my finishes. That's Goth Chicken. And then the second of my finishes, which is actually a fully finished object. Don't gasp in shock because we know that I'm not good at doing that. So this is I Can and I Will by Silver Creek Samplers. So this popped up on their feed on Instagram as a freebie sort of early in January, just as I was doing all my January planning and things, and it just appealed to me, the sentiment. I'm a writer, and so that's sort of running your own business as well as the day job, so sometimes you need a reminder that when there's too many things to do, you can and you will get it all done, and it will all be good. So that is that. I just used I think this is a sulky 12 weight, so it's just 1 strand over 2, and it's just a scrap bit of linen. I think it's 36 count. And then the backing was actually full crosses in the pattern, but I just did half crosses because lazy. But I think it's really cute. So that's on a little thing so it can hang near my desk where I write and things. And then the other one, which is just a mad whim, neither of these were planned. So this is a little Loki for the Thor fans. Loki is the Norse god of sort of mischief and chaos, and a wise writer buddy of mine always says that the publishing industry is ruled by Loki, in that there's an element of luck and randomness with what happens with any given book that you release, so you need to focus on the things that you can control. So I thought that was another good cute sentiment, so I wanted to make myself a little Loki to remind myself. So I found a pattern on Etsy, I think it was by Geeky Stitches, which was like a pattern with him and one of his trademark sayings next to him on the pattern, but I just thought, I'll just take Loki and I'll put him on some perforated paper and stitch him so he can hang on my desk as well, just backed with some felt. So there you go, 2 fully finished objects in 1 month. Who even am I? But that's it. That's all I finished in January. It was quite warm in January, so that's why I haven't been back with a Flosstube. It seemed like it kept getting really hot on the weekend, so I had the air conditioner on, which is right there, so it's a bit noisy to record with. So it's a cooler day today. Hopefully we're going to get some bit more warm weather before summer is over, because it's sort of gone from, hey, we're up near 35 and in the 30s, to the last few days it's been like 16, 17, 20, 22. So that's a little bit cold. I mean, I don't like super hot weather, but we can be a little bit warmer than 17 and 21 and 22. But I thought I would take advantage and film today while I can. All right, so let's move on to WIPs. So I think in my last Flosstube, which was, I can't even remember what date, late December, right near the end of the year, I said I was going to start Raven Queen as a new year, new start. So, and I just realized that's the one thing I haven't grabbed, so I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. All right, so Raven Queen, which is in my Raven bag, which was also made by Nicola from number 12 Stitch Co. I think she's got me my number with these bird bags. She keeps posting cute things and they're hard to resist. But anyway, I did do New Year, New Start with Raven Queen. Don't get overly excited, because I stitched on it that one day. And then I moved on to my January WIPGO and other things I had on the go. So there you go. There is my massive start on Raven Queen. So this is an XDew Designs fabric, 32 count, I believe, because that's what you stitch Mirabilias on. I haven't grabbed the pattern. I'll put a picture of the pattern here. This is what she looks like. You can see the size of the fabric. So she's a big lady, a big pretty lady. And so she is on my WIPGO board to continue working on this year. She has quite the set of threads, and there's some other Karen water lilies, and then there's beads, and there's crying ink, and there's all sorts of things in this. So it will be fun to stitch, but she has started. I bought her possibly in 2021 sometime. And then I was a bit intimidated because I saw it, but oh, that's lovely. But then I was a little bit intimidated by Mirabilis, and I hadn't done beading and those sorts of things. But I stitched my Witching Hour Nora Corbett, who was the same designer, but it's a smaller design, last year, and I've done some beading now. So I thought I will get this underway. So that is the first of my WIPs. Other ongoing WIPs that I didn't work on at all in January, or since you've last seen them, Dilemma. But Dilemma is a WIPGO call this month, February. So I'll show that in my next Flosstube as to where I've got, because I don't think I've made any progress since I last showed it. My fantasy map that I'm stitching, I haven't worked on for a little while either. And then we have this year's temperature library. So last year I stitched a temperature library, and I finished last year's, and I will put a picture of last year's here, so that you can see that, because I just realized that I did not grab that either, so well done me. I don't think it's still in this bag. No, I think I've moved it out of the project bag, but I have started this year's. So I'm using the 2023 pattern by Dr. Christie. She has so many cool temperature patterns. She had another bird one, which was really cool as well, but kind of stuck on the book. So this year's actually has like high and low temperatures. So the spine of the book, the little bands are the low temperatures, which is going to get interesting in Melbourne because we don't really have a wide range of low temperatures, and someone will get a few hot nights, but the rest of the year. So I've actually added, because I've changed my temperature range a little bit this year, because last year I think I didn't really use the top 4 colors. So I've widened the temperature range at the top and the bottom, but then when I realized I was doing this year, I've also added in white for less than 5 degrees overnight, just so I've got one extra color, because otherwise I think all the little bands on the books are going to be pretty much a symphony of blue and green, and I don't want to get sick of stitching them. So I'm using the same fabric as last year. This is 36 count Toasted Mallow by No. 12 Stitch Co. But I'm stitching the books 1 strand over 2 instead. I started doing 2 and it just felt a bit tight, so I don't know whether this this piece of fabric is just a little bit tighter, but 2 strands on 36 count, I don't mind, but it does get a bit tight sometimes, and so I thought I'd do 1 strand, particularly with having to do the little lines on the spines. I thought that might get a bit fiddly with 2 strands, and I actually like how it looks. So I have changed my colors, but I am doing the same sort of Christy charts it in a rainbow across the temperatures, and then last year I did a tonal range where I picked like 5 colors and did sort of lightest to warmest on those across the temperatures instead. So, but I've changed up the colors this year, so I've got sort of slightly icier blues, these sagey sort of greens, slightly rosier pinks. Last year was sort of more bright passive, and then sort of clear pinks, and then instead of the corals I've sort of done peaches and orange, just to have something different. I'm not a huge red girl, but we'll go up to orange. Hang on, I think I might have a delivery. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Right, yes, delivery's done. Hopefully that is all the interruptions. But what was I talking about? I was talking about temperature library and my color range. So that is this year's colors. And while I was up, I thought I might as well grab last year's. So here is last year's. Let me do all the way done. I think I just had 1 or 2 books to stitch when I showed you this at the end of December. So finished that one on December 31st. And I started the temperature library in January. So I haven't decided on my January knick-knack yet. There's sort of a cute Chinese lantern for Chinese New Year on the pattern, but we'll see. We'll see if inspiration strikes. And as you can see, so far I haven't stitched any of the books in February because they're 1/1 and the spine colours sometimes are within the same range. I'm just sort of waiting every few days and stitching a few and then doing the spines as well. And that seems to be working for this particular one, so that's good. So that is in the library. No, that is temperature library. So that brings me to my last whip. So this is in the library by MojoStitches, the lovely Jo, who just has a new Flosstube that I watched yesterday, which was lovely. She's got a very soothing voice and she's got interesting things to talk about, so check out her Flosstube if you haven't. All right. So in the library, which will look like this. So these are Cottage Garden Threads thread range. And then this is how far I've gotten. So that is basically the first page finished, and I'm going down to page 3. So I'll just do this whole half. So page 3, there's only 1 shelf on, so it's not as deep as the top one. So it only probably goes to about there. So I figured I'd do that, then I'll come across and come down again. Or go across the bottom, make sure my border matches up, which is always the daunting thing with these things with the border. But it's just really pretty. Cottage Garden Threads are really nice to stitch with. There are a fair few colour changes, but I don't mind sort of having one project that's got a little bit more colour changing. It's sort of just good. It's good to have the variety. It's good to have, and it's worth it because the things with lots of colours, they always turn out super pretty. So I've got that. It's a WIPGO call. It was a WIPGO call in January. It is also this month. So I'll probably make this my focus piece this month. I don't know if I will finish it entirely, but we'll give it a red hot go, as they say. And that is sitting in this bag, which is another Nicola bag, which she posted not that long ago. And so that's a magpie, an Australian magpie, and some Australian native plants. That looks like a silver princess eucalyptus to me. They have those dangly flower buds, and you know, that's a lot of my favorite thing. I like magpies. I know people say they swoop, but not all of them swoop, and it's actually a learned defensive behavior, so can't blame them for wanting to defend their nests. And they're just funny birds. You see them playing with the little ones are quite silly, and they have a nice song, so couldn't resist the magpies. So we have that bag. So that's one piece of haul. I actually don't have that much haul. I've been pretty good this month, or last month, buying cross-stitch stuff. I did buy some other things. Maybe it's because it was that start of the year and everyone was having sales and I needed some skincare and makeup and all that sort of stuff. So there has been a little bit of spending, just not all of it on cross-stitch for a change. So what other haul did I get? So I bought this pattern, which I think I showed as a pattern crush last time. So this is Mandrake Keeper by Mama Witch Cross Stitch. I've done a pattern called Miss Mandrake by Barbara Anna, which is one of the early patterns I did when I got back into cross stitch. And so I thought this might be good to continue the Mandrake theme. It's got some similar colours, like these oranges and sort of tealy blues and greens. So I'm not sure when I will stitch her, but I thought I will. I will probably stitch her on a lighter fabric than black. My eyes are old and I don't particularly love stitching on super dark fabrics, particularly not for something, I don't know what the stitch count is, but it's not a tiny piece, so I'm not going to torture myself stitching it on black. So we'll see what alternatives we can come up with when we get to that. And then I think the only other bit of haul I've got, unless I've bought some threads here and there, I did get threads from my temperature library and stuff, but I had a gift voucher for those, so that doesn't count. And you've seen them. So Nicola for Number 12 Stitch Co. You would say, I think she's the only cross stitch person in the world, supplies person, but I do really like her linen, and it's good to support the Aussie dyers. Lots of beautiful linens from around the world, of course, but shipping and the exchange rate are kind of crazy. So from time to time she has these little grab bags on her thing where they're just sort of lucky dip 3 or 4 or 5 little pieces, offcuts of random colorways and counts. So I think this has got 32, maybe a couple of 36. I think this brown is, which is not quite as dark as it's showing up there, sorry, is a 40 count. So I'll have to pick some light and not too hard design to try on 40 count. I haven't actually tried 40 count before. I can do 36 okay, but I might need to venture into the land of magnification for 40 count. But I like these for smalls, little patterns. It's just nice to sort of grab a piece of fabric that's not a gigantic piece of fabric and try and work out where to put your small. So I grabbed myself one of those when I saw she had some back in stock in her store, because I think it was down to my last couple of the last one I bought. Okay, so that's purchases haul. I don't think I have any stitchy happy mail. Right, so let's talk pattern crushes. I don't think this is going to be a super long floss tube because I just haven't done that much. All right, what cute things has Mel spotted on Instagram lately? So I saw this pattern the other day. Look at that cat on the lemon trees. I do have a bit of a thing for lemon trees, and tuxedo kitties are cute. Never actually had a tuxedo kitty. I've had a black kitty and I've had calico / tortoise shells, but never a tuxedo. I am contemplating another kitten at some point this year. We'll see. But I just thought that was really cute. So that's by Stitches with Coffee. She's on Etsy. And then she also posted the other day this one. Oh, iPad behave. This one, which is another kitty one. An actual calico tortoiseshell. Sitting with some cactuses. So I thought that was cute too. Those will both likely jump into my cart at some point. So yeah, Stitches with Coffee. And then I saw, sort of a bit behind keeping up with what everyone's been posting for Nashville sneak peeks. I've caught a few, but I haven't gone through the hashtags and had a good look yet. But I saw this one the other day, which is very me. It says, just one more chapter and other lies I tell myself. Because, you know, I am a founding member of what some people call the Bad Decisions Book Club, which is when you go, I'm just going to keep reading one more chapter, and then suddenly it's 4 a.m. and you have to get up for work at 6. And you get lost in a book. So this is by Puntini. So this is a Nashville release, I believe. So that one's going on the last list. Patterns we're admiring. And then the other Nashville sneak peek that I saw, and it's only a sneak peek, she hasn't shown the whole pattern, was by Teresa Kogut, which I'm a bit intrigued by. Was this one. I like the idea of this fancy lady facing her friend, I assume, with her peacock on her bustle and handing over a gift of some sort, or maybe the other lady's handing the gift to her. So I'll be watching with interest to see what this is from, because I kind of like her. She looks cool. And some of my books are historical fantasy, so we like a good frock, a good historical lady in a frock. So I thought that was pretty, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it and seeing what everyone else releases at Nashville. Too many pretty things to look at, as is always the way. Okay, so I thought I would talk about WIPGO a little bit more, because I didn't get into it that much last time. So I did WIPGO last year. So WIPGO is by Jessie Marie Does Stuff. She came with a system of making sure that people work on their WIPs all year and sort of get some finished. We all know that collecting patterns and supplies is maybe a different hobby, as Brenda and Laura would say, to actually stitching, but it's good to make your way through at least some of those acquisitions. So I did WIPGO last year. Now, because I'm not someone who has a heap of WIPs, I've sort of got my, what I've got, I've sort of got like 4 ongoing WIPs. So Dilemma, Raven Queen, my map, and Temperature Library I'll count. That's a sort of an all-year project. So 4 big WIPs that I'm sort of working on slowly, that I understand will take multiple years. Well, the Temperature Library will take 1 year. And then I probably only have 1 or 2 others on the go, and throw in the odd small in here. Otherwise I start to feel a bit overwhelmed. Last month, when I had In the Library on the go and Goth Chicken, I was feeling like, oh, there's a lot to get through between the Temperature Library and In the Library and Goth Chicken and other things I was doing. So I don't like to have that many WIPs, because my brain is, we're like, try and finish them all, and then I'll, you know, there's not enough stitching time in the world for that. So I try and keep my WIPs smaller. So the way I do WIPGO is I put those big patterns on and have them in a couple of months. So a WIPGO board looks like this. So you've got 25 squares. The middle one is like usually a free space for most people. And you put your projects in each square, and then they're numbered 1 to 25. And each month Jessie calls 2 numbers. 1 month there's 3. And those are meant to be the 2 projects that you focus on. So what focusing on means for different people is different. Everyone in WIPGO says your board, your rules. So personally, I put my goal down as 5 days stitching on usually each project that's called. For bigger projects, if it's a small, I might say, well, yeah, finish that, because it might be 5 days stitching or a couple of days stitching in its own. So what I have done, right, so I've got my big projects on there, and then I've picked a few other sort of medium-sized whips that I have bought last year or the year before that I would like to work on this year. Subject to change because sometimes your mood changes. So the ones I've picked that are on there at the moment are this Shameless Hussy by Miss Prim, just because it makes me laugh, and it's not super big. Well, it's a reasonable height, but like it's not dense stitching. So that's on there. I've put Minerva, which is another one of the Nora Corbett Bewitching Pixies, who would match my witching hour. But she's got a question mark next to her, so some of these will be depending on my mood and what takes me during the year. And then the other two slightly bigger ones I have on there are this little Bibliophile Witch by the Laurel Witch, who is just super cute. You can see a theme of books. You'll see books, birds, old-fashioned ladies, and some other things repeating through my cross stitch for the year. The odd bit of geeky stuff and sarcastic sayings. So that one I would like to do, and then the other one, which I kitted up last year and I was going to do next, and then I decided to do Goth Chicken instead, is HL's Moth by Kathy Barrick, which I just think is really pretty and might look really nice on that dark brown fabric now that I look at it. Well, I don't know if I want to do my first 40 count piece, something quite this big. It's not tiny. We'll see. We will ponder that. But that's really pretty too. So those are the medium-sized projects that I put on those. So those are things that if I start them, I should be able to finish them, if not within that month, within like 5 or 6 weeks, I would have thought. And then this year, I've also put on, what else have I put on? A couple of other ideas for those sorts of size projects. I've put one that says gnome. I have a couple of like gnome projects, from another beaded gnome to a slightly bigger one to some smaller ones. I just like gnomes, they're cute. Another Barbara Anna called Light, which is the one with the fox holding the lantern. I will put a photo here because I did not grab that pattern. There, that one. What else have I put on here? And then I've got like some free choice squares, do a small, do a Christmas small, and I've actually got one square that says do some finishing, because that's definitely a goal of mine this year, is to finish some things, frame them up, or find alternative methods of displaying them, do some hem stitching, that sort of stuff, because I have a nice big project bag full of finishes, so it's nice to display them. So that would be my WIPGO. This month, as I said, my 2 calls are in the library and Dilemma, so I will do 5 days at least on each, but I will probably keep going on in the library. And so that is basically my plans as well. I'll do WIPGO. I will try not to buy all the things as all the Nashville stuff comes out, and just keep stitching. And yes, I will do more of my hexie flowers for my quilt. It would be nice to get all the flowers stitched this year and then start putting it together. It's probably another year stitching and putting it together and hand quilting it. So if we could get the flowers done this year, I think there's 56 of them, and I think I've done about 14 or 15. So that's not too bad. Not too bad. So those are my plans for stitching. I have been admiring, there's a hand embroiderer called, is it Kathy Turner? KJ Turner, she goes by anyway. I think it's Kathy. Apologies, Kathy. And last year she did this gorgeous sort of freehand embroidery, sort of slow stitching, stitch a little box a day. So she got this big long piece of fabric, and she marked off each month in 31 squares, and she just, you know, filled in one square with one stitch and whatever was, you know, representing her day or a feeling or a mood. And it's just really lovely. And I'm quite attracted to the whole slow stitching type thing. It's just where do we fit all these hobbies in? So she's actually released a little course on how you can do it yourself, but I think you can buy the templates and the PDFs if you already know a bit about embroidery. But I keep eyeing that off too and go, oh, that looks really nice, but then I keep going, we have a lot of projects and I'm doing my temperature library, so maybe next year I won't do a temperature library, but I'll do something like that. But that's something else I am resisting at the moment. If I want to do hand embroidery, I should pull out my fantasy map and get that one done, because there's plenty to do for that, or make some hearts for the 1000 Hearts project, which is another thing I do from time to time. That's a little Australian kindness project that was started in Tasmania, where people make little felt hearts to give to people, just to say, hey, people are thinking of you, I like you, or people make them and they donate packs to hospitals and charities and schools and anywhere where people might need a little bit of a lift. So they're worth checking out. 1000 Hearts on Instagram and Etsy. She sells like the little pre-cut hearts and things, or templates if you have lots of felt. So that's a really cool thing that I do, and my mum does them as well. So it was something we started during the panini, as we should say. But anyway, I think I'm going to stop rabbiting on. I don't think I've forgotten anything else. Hopefully I haven't. We'll see on the schedule how we get back, whether I get back by the end of the month, or if not, it will be early March somewhere. I am trying to finish the draft of a book this month, so sometimes the writing takes over the world and other things become harder to stop and find a couple of hours to film and edit a Flosstube. But let's just see how we go. Lovely to hang out with you. If you're new and you like what you see, then like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff so you get a little ding when I reappear. But I do try and post most days on Instagram on my WIPGO account, at least 5 times a week or something, just to show what I'm progressing on and what other things are happening. So you can catch up with me there too. But I hope you have a lovely week. I hope it's not too freezing cold or stinking hot where you are. And I think we've made it without the cat rampaging around. So I'll sign off here and see you next time. Thanks. Bye.